Now then, I hope we're all alright. A few of you liked the video I did it over there, so I just thought I'd do another one. This one is just going to be on like, do you know when you start exercising? I've noticed particularly when I'm running, initially it's hard and then it gets a lot easier as you go on. Like, I've seen a lot of runners say before, you know, like the first mile lies to you, and it's true. And I wanted to explain the reason why this happens. And it's basically to do with your energy systems, really. What energy system your body is in order to get the fuel that it needs to perform the function or the exercise that it's carrying out. So you've got three energy systems. I'll try and explain them like most basic as I can. So like, you imagine when you're at school, if you're doing a 100-metre sprint and you're going all out and you're really going for it hell for leather, your body needs to call upon an immediate source of energy. And what we have is we have something called ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, which is like the molecule of energy that we use, okay, within the cells, within a cell, okay. So it's like the energy currency, all right. So the system that we use for fast and rapid, quick bursts of exercise is ATP-PC, adenosine triphosphate phosphocreatine, and we have some ATP and creatine phosphate within our system that we can readily call upon when we perform such exercises, but it is limited and it does run out typically after about 10 seconds. You imagine if you keep running past that 10 seconds, you're not able to go the same pace, but you still, you know, you're working quite quickly. Your body will then switch over to an energy system called ATP, anaerobic glycolysis, all right, or the glycotic system. I don't know if I mentioned the last system as well. It's also known as the phosphagen system, right? But this one, yeah, ATP, anaerobic glycolysis, right? And glycolysis is basically like when enzymes break down glucose, okay? And anaerobic means without oxygen. So that's what's happening. It does that for the formation of ATP, for the production of energy, okay? And the byproduct of this is lactic acid, which is also used to fuel ATP, but it does accumulate in muscles, which causes that burning feeling that we get. You know, when we're working really hard and we get burning, and the muscles eventually, because of the accumulation and build-up of lactic acid, it'll cause the muscles to fatigue, and then you'll slow down further still. And then the next energy system that you go into is the oxidative system, right? Or the aerobic system. So it's the most complex out of the three, but it's without doubt the most efficient, because once you switch over to this system, providing, you know, you're fit and well, potentially you could exercise for hours. But this is when the body starts breaking down glucose as well as fatty acids for the production of ATP. There's also other things going on in this system, such as the Krebs cycle, which is like chemical reactions in order to get energy from mitochondria. And mitochondria is basically like the power plant within our muscle, okay? But I'll go into all that another time. So that's basically what's happening. You're almost, when you start exercising, if you're exercising in particular too hard, you're almost like in an oxygen debt, and your body needs to catch up from the stress that you're putting it under, all right? But when you make that transformation, typically from, you know, I mean, we're not all going out and fucking pelleting, you know, for exercising. And I don't just mean we're running, but I'm on about like typically we're not all going at it 100%. So we're not all in the phosphagen system, the ATP-PC, right? But typically, if we're in the anaerobic glycolysis, the glycotic system, sometimes known as the lactic acid system, once it switches over to the aerobic system, if we're doing kind of more continuous, slower forms of exercise, once it makes that transformation, your breathing will calm down, you'll find it a lot easier. But I wanted to kind of go into as well a little bit deeper what's going on within our kind of circulatory system when this is happening, right? So we've got arteries, which takes blood away from the heart, veins, which brings blood back, capillaries, which is like the transfer station for this, and then either branching out from the capillaries or merging into the capillaries, whatever way you want to look at it, really. You've got the arterioles. I can't pronounce the fucking word. The arterioles, right, and the meta-arterioles. That's it. That's how you pronounce it. And they're like little arteries, right? And then you've got the venules, right, which are like little veins which go into the bigger veins, right? You've got whole networks of capillaries in this micro circulatory system right? Capillary beds, which they lay dormant when you're not exercising and when you're at rest. There's no blood flowing through them, and there wouldn't be, would there? Because there's no need for it, right? But try and see it as like your veins are like capitant vessels, yeah, and kind of like blood reservoirs that you have within your system, which can then redistribute blood to the areas where like there's a metabolic need, you know. So that's basically what's happening. And when you start exercising, obviously you need blood to go to your muscles, so they can function. They need fueling. And what will happen is your body will release nitric oxide, and this happens in the endothelium, right, which is within a vessel, and you have endothelial cells. It's like a line of endothelial cells, and you call it the endothelium, and it releases nitric oxide. And what that does is it vasodilates the vessel. So at your capillaries, you have something called the capillary sphincter, and it's at the origin of your capillaries, and within that you've got an internal diameter, right? So like the lumen, that's like the empty space where all the blood travels through, and you've got this internal diameter. And when this nitric oxide is released, it causes it to vasodilate, and it can also, you know, it can vasodilate or vasoconstrict. It's all based upon, it regulates your blood flow, based upon the need for it, where there may or may not be metabolic function in your muscle tissues. Okay, so that's what's happening there. The Greek physician Galen, he described blood flow in your body as like tidal waves. So see it like that. Tidal waves coming in and out and abating from your arteries as and when necessary. All right. So, but I don't like it when I sit and think about it that I've got all these dormant capillary networks anywhere where there's no blood. It's even more reason for me to start exercising. I mean, if you think about your circulatory system, why it's important, other than the fact that you need it to fucking live, of course, but it also transports things like, you know, your hormones. It plays a role in thermoregulation. You know, obviously it transports oxygen and you know, you've got byproducts, waste products, lactic acid, you know, all these gaseous exchanges, but things such as transportation of hormones, what it does with regards to your immune system and your pH scale, you know, how acidic and alkaline your blood is, and all these roles in which it's important. I think that's even more reason to exercise every single day to ensure that you don't have dormant networks, the capillaries, get the blood pumping. So that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, if you're new to exercise, you start exercising and you're finding it really fucking hard, just stick with it, because it might just be a case of your body needs to transfer from one energy system to the other. This is what I said to our lass when, you know, the one of the two times in the old time I've known her, she tried to come up for a run with me. And she was going ahead of me. Bear in mind, I've been doing that particular type of exercise for about 10 years and ran marathons. I said, you're going too fast. Listen to the PT, slow it down. I'm all right. 5 minutes that road, she's fucked. And then I don't think she's ran since. But this is, I'm not going to go, this is what people tend to be like. Start it off nice and slow, all right? And bear with it. Because once you switch from the anaerobic glycolysis or glycotic system, lactic acid system, where your body is breaking down glucose with enzymes without oxygen, the build up lactic acid, I've gone into that and why it tires your muscles. Once it switches from that to the aerobic system, the oxidative system, it then has the capability to keep functioning for hours, all right, if you're fit enough. So stick with it. Cheers.